This is trendy, but this is not. Have you ever wondered how brands come up with the same trends at the same time? It's not a coincidence, and I will tell you why. Stay here because in this video I'm breaking down how brands do it and how you can start anticipating it too. I'm breaking down the exact blueprint footwear designers use to catch upcoming sneaker trends and show you how you can use some available fashion data out there to spot and anticipate what's coming up next before anyone else. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Isabella. I'm a color designer in the footwear industry, and today we're talking about trend forecasting. A lot of people think that brands just guess what people are going to be wearing 2 years before it even happens. But I'm here to tell you that that is not true. There is data that brands use in order to make decisions of what colors and materials they're going to be using 24 months before they're deciding. And the clues are already in front of us. And some of the consumer behavior that is going on right now is shaping what it's going to happen in 2 years. I'm going to break down 5 elements that play into the decision of what brands put out there in their stores. The first I want to point out is cultural relevancy. These are shifts in consumer behavior that are happening. They're going to inform how people are going to behave, and that involves dressing, shopping, and everything you can think of that relates to consumer consumption. An example that I want to kind of put in front of you is when the pandemic happened. Everyone was wearing activewear, and of course, like the boom of activewear became the what everyone wanted to wear: athleisure, joggers, leggings, everything to be comfy at home, because that was the collective behavior that everyone was experiencing. We were all in our living rooms working from home. What anyone could have predicted, that now that I look back, is we at some point were going to want to break out of that cycle. It was not going to be something that was going to be forever. And that happened when people wanted to start getting outside and going to the office and just going back to the normal. That is an example of how a cultural shift can affect the fashion world and can be anticipated by brands to know what they're going to offer their consumers and to please the needs of the consumers. And there can be macro shifts and micro shifts, and that may just be led by lifestyle choices from a specific group of people, as well as more fashion forward and trendy consumers. Now I want to talk about high-end fashion brands. These are important to look at because they're going to be presenting their collections a few months before they launch it in the store. And that is going to affect people that are in those spaces. And those people are the ones that are more expressive, more risky. They love exploring and trying new things. So they're going to be at the front of those runway collections, and they're going to start predicting and anticipating and getting ready for when those collections will drop. So runway is super important to know what will happen a few seasons after. And that can lead to some cues of what can be repetitive depending on the cultural shifts in the consumer behavior that is happening. And something I wanted to mention, since we are talking about sneakers, is that apparel a lot of time may lead the way in terms of fashion moves, sometimes a lot more faster. There may be more micro trends on the fashion side that footwear is not able to catch up because of the differences in the supply chain and the entire process. In fashion, it may be a 12 max to 18 months turnaround in the supply chain. But footwear just takes much longer. It may take up to 24 months to produce a footwear line. So fashion can really act like a magic ball for sneaker designers in terms of they'll see what consumers are reacting to, and we can kind of see what may stick for a little longer, whereas fashion just moves much faster. Next, I want to talk about material and how trends not only start with silhouettes, they may start with material innovation. Going to conventions like Premier Vision or the Functional Fashion Fair are great ways to know what's the newest and greatest inventions from factories. This is where factories show their greatest collections of innovative materials. Think synthetic leathers, recycled meshes, or new sustainable dyeing techniques. For a lot of brands, innovation is extremely important. And if a major supplier is introducing a new way of doing something, a lot of brands might want to follow because innovation is what keeps people coming back. They crave new things. And this design secret is that the trends you see on shelf is just a reflection of material innovation happening at the factory level. Factories are the expert. They are there in and out day by day. And they keep thinking about how they can make better product for their consumers and their clients. So they will always be making new and exciting things. And brands adapt those materials in their own unique way. The next thing I want to talk about is that not all trends are right for every brand. And this includes silhouettes, materials, colors, fabrics, everything. If your brand is not known for playing into leopard print, it might not be right for you. It might not be the right trend for the brand to follow. There's plenty of trends going on at the same time that will align better with your brand strategy and for what your consumer is going to want. And that leads me to the final element of trend forecasting, which is intuition. All of this together inform you of what's happening in the world, what's relevant to your consumer, and how to know what's going to happen. However, there is a level of intuition that you have to put yourself. Knowing who your consumer is will always ground you to know where you need to go. Because if there's a trend that you're seeing, but you're not seeing it as much as other bigger trends, that you feel that that might be right for your consumer, that has a lot of validation because you've been there. You know your brand and you know what your consumer is looking for, and you can apply that in a very innovative, compelling way that will work. So not because it's trendy means it's right for your brand. Now I'm also going to tell you where are the places that you can go to find the information that you need in order to predict trends. So where can you find all of this information? Easy. You can go to social media. That's a good way to start. Instagram, Pinterest, all of those can give you a lot of sense of what's going on in the world. Then for runway shows, you can go to Vogue Runway easily. You can get the Vogue magazines. You can go to Substack, podcast. Know what's going on in the world, in the culture, in music, because that is affecting how we feel, how we're behaving as a collective, as well as getting out there. Get out, go for a walk, go to a coffee shop, see what people are wearing, how people are feeling, what activities are they doing. Trend forecasting services like WGSN, Fashion Snoops, Trend Hub, Hertech. These are all tools that big brands use, but they do have some available resources out there that you can check out. Those services will compile all of that information and put it into buckets so that it's easy to understand. So once you start looking at runway collections and cultural shifts, you will start reacting to sneaker drops and start anticipating them. So let me know in the comments, have you started seeing any trends that are calling your attention? Do you see any major trends that are taking over the streets right now? Hit subscribe and I will see you next week with more footwear industry insights. Bye bye.